Hey everyone, Voodoo here. So recently on the PTR, Blizzard has finally updated the dungeon journal for the raid and has given us details of all the trinkets in the raid. So trinkets are a big part of World of Warcraft. They can be huge power gains. So today I figured we'd go over all of the trinkets in the raid and kind of give my thoughts on each one of them. Maybe what'll be good, what'll be bad, and what don't we know yet based on tuning. So yeah, comment down below what your favorite trinket is, what you think you're going to pick up. Let me know if you want me to do anything else, and enjoy the video. Before we begin, I'd just like to say that most people who watch my video, about 97% of them, aren't subscribed. So if you enjoy the content, please consider liking the video and subscribing. It really means a lot and shows a lot of support for me. I'm a new content creator just starting out, so this really gives me the motivation to keep making this content for you guys. So with that out of the way, enjoy the video. Our first trinket is the Auxiliary Attendant Chime. Now, the eye level for Mythic is actually 278, but this is the closest I can get on the Wowhead viewer. This drops from the first boss in the raid, Vigilant Guardian. It is a healer trinket, and its effect is an RPPM, so a random proc per minute chance for your healing spells and abilities to summon a little buddy, a little robot, prefabricated assistant, who gives an absorb to your most injured ally every 1 second for 10 seconds. I think this has a decent chance to be good. The fact that it's most injured ally and not, most injured nearby ally, I guess, but not just a random one, means that it has smart healing and will generally go where it's needed. Absorbed are also good. Even if you proc it and everyone's at full health, it'll still channel it. I think tuning-wise, depending on how often it procs, because we don't know this yet, it could be there. But if it's like a low chance to proc, then I think the absorb needs to be higher. But if it's like a decently high chance to proc, then I think this is a fine trinket and has a good chance of being decent, especially since it drops off the first boss. To be very easily accessible for a lot of healers. Our next trinket is the Cache of Acquired Treasures. Now this drops of Artificer Zymox, which makes sense because they steal stuff, and it is an Agi DPS trinket, and it has the effect to periodically rummage through the cache, swapping out stolen weapons, and then you can unuse, you grab the weapon, you gain a benefit. So this is basically kind of like the decks, the deck of many things, not deck of many things, the Dark Moon decks that were popular with the first patch of Shadowlands, where they would periodically shuffle the deck and you get a different effect, well, a different strength of effect based on how, what card you have. This seems to be the same kind of thing where you rummage through the cache, you get a different weapon, and then you can 3-minute cooldown, push the button, and then use that weapon to get a benefit. We haven't been able to data mine yet what the weapon effects or the benefits are. The normal raid was open over the weekend, so that might have changed, but as of right now, I do not know the effects. But I imagine it would be something similar to the weapons that Xanax stole over both the first and the second encounter. I think that would be kind of cool. You get some kind of effect similar to just the Edge of Annihilation or like a big, I don't know, Nightface Scythe. Just something cool like that. Tuning-wise, I have no idea. Again, the effect isn't really known. I think this could be cool, but depending on how good the proc is, I think they'd have to be pretty decent because you get a random effect every 3 minutes. So whenever you want to use it, might not be on the weapon you want, and it might not line up with your cooldowns then. But, this is cool for sure. If the buffs are strong enough, it could definitely see play. But if the buffs aren't super strong, I would go with other trinkets because of how just random and unsure this one is. So this next trinket, Pulsating Rift Shard, also drops from Artificer Zymox, and this is our first tank trinket of the raid, so it's Agi or Strength, and it's a tank. So it's an on-use with a 2-minute cooldown. It places a portal in front of you that charges for 4 seconds and shoots a huge blast, dealing cosmic damage in a line. And whenever you hit an enemy with it, you plunder their essence, and it gives you a shield which absorbs however much damage the next you would take for the next whatever up to maximum of whatever, because tuning on this thing is bad right now. Dealing 1,000 damage in a line after 4 seconds is really terrible, and then an absorb shield of 134 with a maximum of 268 is literally like half of an auto, I'm pretty sure. But the potential's there. If you can hit, I don't think this will be as good in raid. Maybe on, I think there's a few bosses with lots of ads, maybe there. But the fact that it has to charge 4 seconds, I don't think so. Maybe an M+. If the damage is good enough, you can get good damage off of this and then get a good shield as well. And 2 minutes is decent for a tank trinket. We'll see on this one. I think this one has a chance of seeing play. It obviously depends on the tuning. If it's tuned bad, then it'll never see play. So with a 4 second charge. But it's cool. It's like all the beams from Zymox and the first boss in Tazafesh and the, all that kind of stuff there. So, cool trinket, tuning dependent, has a chance. I don't know. 4 seconds is a long time, but the shield you could get could be decent depending on how big it is. So, Resonant Reservoir is the first caster DPS trinket of the raid. It drops from Disogning the Fallen Oracle. So this is an on-use that fires a resonant bolt at your target, which causes a halo to form on its location, a disintegration halo, dealing 1,000 damage every 5.5 seconds for until canceled. And then it crescendos 3 times for taking it again from the top, which is weird wording, but what I figured this out to do is that it spawns the halo that deals damage for however many seconds. I'm pretty sure it'll have a duration, and I don't think the duration is going to be 5.2 seconds. I think it's going to be probably like 10, 15 seconds maybe, and then it'll go away. I don't think it'll last forever. That's kind of stupid. But the crescendo's 3 times for taking it again from the top. I'm pretty sure that means it'll deal damage 3 times, and then it'll kind of reach its maximum damage potential, and then it'll reset back down to its like first stage when you first hit it. So it's kind of like a scaling damage effect, which is cool. The fact that it's an AoE ability is better. This could have a chance at M+. It's hard to say without knowing, 1, its cooldown, because it's not listed here, and 2, how much damage it will actually be doing. Also, it doesn't say it deal damage to everything, but I'm assuming it does because it's a halo. So this one's kind of a mess. I think it's cool, the fact that it pulses kind of 3 times and then resets and a little halo at its location. I think there's a chance. I don't think this will be part of like Abyss setup, unless it's tuned super well. But I think this could be a good pickup pretty early on in the patch when people are low on trinkets and low on what they want for M+ or AoE fights. Maybe it's tuned good enough that you use it in single target, but I don't know. We'll see on that one. Okay, so this is the best trinket in the entire raid, hands down. So this is LG the Eternals. This is a trinket for everybody, so every single class, spec, everything can use it. So it's an on-equip that gives you 1,030 of your highest secondary stat. This is at Mythic. It's less so than the other ones. And I think it's been tuned down, but it's still really good. It gives you a bunch of stat, a large chunk of stat, like more than I gave, I believe. And you also grant 10% of this bonus to any party members who also serve your Covenant. So if you're a Night Fae, and you're in a group with 4 of the Night Fae, you get, let's say, 1,000 haste, and then all your Night Fae buddies get 100 haste. So really this trinket, instead of giving 1,000 of your highest secondary stat, it gives 1,400, which is crazy. And this can stack. If all 5 of you in this one party have this trinket, you all give the benefit to everybody else. And woo, baby, this one's nutty. Now it will be noted it's party, so it's your group of 5 inside of a raid or just your group of 5 in a dungeon. So you'll have to be paired up with people of the similar covenant. This could mess with Wind Fury groups, but this is a crazy trinket. Everyone's gonna want this. This is from Prototype Pantheon, so it's about in the middle of the raid, so it shouldn't be too hard to get. This thing's crazy. Pick yourself up one of these as soon as you can. So the other trinket from Prototype Pantheon, not as good. So this is the first Sigil. This is also usable by everybody. It's an on-use with a 5-minute cooldown. So you already know that's 5 minutes doesn't line up with anything in the game, unless you're like a really bad Unholy Death Knight and can't get your army down to 4 minutes. Anyways, so it refreshes the cooldown of your Night Fae signature ability, and you gain 1,062 versatility for 15 seconds. Now, when you read that and you see Night Fae signature ability, you think, oh, like the Hunt or Convoke or something like that. But I'm pretty sure, and this is based off a trinket we've had since Shadowlands launch that has similar wording, that this would reset like Soul Shape or Door Shadows or Fleshcraft or, I don't know, your Kyrian Vial, I guess. So that part's pretty not great. It gives a bunch of versatility. 1,000 is a lot of stat, but when you look at the previous trinket, which also just gives 1,000 permanently, and this is on a 5-minute cooldown, I just don't think this one has much play in anything. If they were to lower the cooldown, or maybe the ability actually resets your Covenant, like damaging ability, which I doubt, that'd be kind of crazy for certain classes. This could see play, but as it stands right now, this thing's really bad, and you'll probably just gonna vendor it as soon as you get it. I don't know, maybe it's an eye level upgrade for you, but still. It's not great. This next trinket, Architect's Ingenuity Core, is a caster DPS trinket, and it drops from Lahuvium, who's one of the wing end bosses. So he's about the 6th or 7th boss in the raid. And it has an equip and an on-use. So the equip is whenever a nearby automa dies, your cooldowns recover 15% more quickly for 0 seconds, so X seconds. And the on use is a 1.5 cooldown, and it calls forth an Attendant Automa, so a little buddy, who channels 1,000 conflict damage on your target over 10 seconds, after which it expires. So if you're keeping track at home, that's about 103 damage per second. So obviously this one's not finished, but I think this has a chance. There's a lot of Automa, so I'm pretty sure everything in the raid is an Automa, or nearly everything, besides the Jailer forces. And in M+, all of the new seasonal affix are Automa. The things you summon, I don't think the artifacts like the cube, the spear, and the weird ball thing are Automa, but I think the boss you summon that gives you the buff is. So this will trigger fairly often. In single target fights it won't, but in like ad fights like Lahuvium, like the first boss, Vigilant Guardian, you can get decent recovery on this. I think this will be good. I believe my guess is X is going to be 5 to 10 seconds. I think that'd be fair. Obviously the on use has to be cranked up a little bit, but I think the equip is good enough that this will see play in certain targets, in certain scenarios. So like probably M+ more than raid, but maybe in some raid bosses. I think it's cool. Also, the on use calls a buddy. Gotta give it a point for buddy flavor. So yeah, I think lots of people want to pick this up. Probably Fire Mage, if I'm not mistaken. Get more cooldowns. They love those. But yeah, good trinket. So this is another tank trinket, Pocket Protoforge. This also drops from Lahuvium. This is similar to the Vigilant Guardian healer trinket. So this one, whenever you take damage, you have a chance to fabricate an ally from the Pocket Protoforge. So another little buddy who interferes with your enemy's attacks, increasing your dodge by X and absorbing Y damage before fading away. So this is a RPPM proc to give you an absorb and a dodge boost. So I think this will be really good, especially in dungeons. This is similar to the Tank Guardian trinket from Sanctum Domination. Now this doesn't have the damaging component that does, so it might not be as popular or see as much play. But I think this is a pretty decent, a pretty good just passive tank trinket. As long as the proc chance isn't too low, I think this will be good and see play. Dodge and absorbs are both quite good. Alright, so this is a melee DPS trinket, so that's agility or strength users, and this is Earthbreaker's Impact. So this is on use, and it drops from Halandris. It has a 3-minute cooldown, and it causes the ground to quake beneath your feet, dealing 1,000 nature damage split between all nearby enemies over 8 seconds. Damage increase per target hit. The damage, obviously, not final. That'll be scaled way up. And then while quaking, you can sense nearby tectonic weak points. Moving over those weak points will deal an additional 134 nature damage to all nearby enemies. So I imagine when you use this, over its 8 seconds, there'll be little spots on the ground that you'll be able to see. And when you move there, you'll do an extra burst of damage. So as it's tuned, it's bad. If it was tuned higher, I'm not sure. I think it could be decent in M+ or AoE for a lot of, not a lot, but for some specs. It'll be fun either way, because it's like you're playing a little mini game every 3 seconds, and you can like go see weak points, go walk over it, you deal more damage. That's just fun. That's a cool little trinket added effect. If it beats some of the new trinkets from the other raid, or just the old classics like File, or the Overwhelming Crystal from Mana Storms, that remains to be seen. But if the damage is there, this could be a good pick in M+, and it'll be fun to use because get to do a little dance, get to go get your tectonic weak points, deal more damage, and everyone's having fun. Alright, so this is another healer trinket. This is also from Halandris. This has an on-use and an equip. So this is Reclaimer's Intensity Core. The equip is whenever a nearby Automa dies, you exude Ephemeria, healing up to 5 nearby allies for 1,000 over 10 seconds. So again, this will proc off of stuff in the raid. This will proc off of the new seasonal affix and M+. Numbers not tuned very well, but those will be cranked up. And the on-use, which is a 2.5-minute cooldown, calls forth an Automa Medic, so another little buddy, which restores 10,000 mana to you over 9 seconds before expiring. I'm not a healer. I don't know how much 10,000 mana is, but it sounds like a decent amount of mana. This will depend on the class. Certain classes don't use as much mana as others. Certain classes use a ton of mana and will probably like having this if it's a really mana-intensive fight. Not sure if this will be like a staple meta pick for trinkets, but I think this could be a good niche one to pick up if you're ever in a spot where you run out of mana a lot, or if you're a class like Mistweaver or like Resto, I guess, or the priests who just run out of mana a lot. This could be good to have in your pocket. The equip, again, more useful in M+, because it's just more Automa and AoE fights. So Lahuvium will be good. The first boss will be good. But it's still good, I guess. It's like a nice little bonus to the mana. This could see play. This could see play either way. It depends on the tuning, but it's nice. All right, so this is we're getting to the last 4 bosses of the raid now, so the trinkets are going to get a little cooler. So this is the Lion's Roar. This is the last healer trinket of the raid, and this one's sick. This is for Anduin. So it has an on use with a 10-minute cooldown. You channel the light for 3 seconds, creating a zone of protection around you, absorbing 20% of all damage taken by allies, up to a total of 143,000. And then your critical heals reduce the cooldown by 3 seconds. So this thing's cool. This is basically a AMZ for all damage for healers. So I guess it's more like a barrier. Except instead of 30%, it's 20%. And there's a cap. The cap isn't that high, honestly, especially for Mythic. This will probably break after one like raid-wide damage event and maybe not even like protect everybody fully. But I still think this will be good either way, especially if it's tuned up a little bit. The 10-minute cooldown, your crit's reducing it by 3 seconds. I think you'll get this down. Oh man, I think it'll be like a 4-minute, 3-minute cooldown, maybe a 5. That's my guess. I think those that crit more often, so Mistweaver will get more use out of this. But it's still like a raid-wide cooldown as a trinket. It's about the same as current DPS DK AMZ, which is like good. I'm not good. It's fine. It's not like blood DK AMZ, but it's still like decent. And I could see this being pretty good, especially if the absorb is bumped up a little bit, so that you could absorb more damage before it breaks. I like this. This is really cool. The effects look cool. It's like a little glowing bubble, and yeah, I'm happy with this one. This one's cool. All right, so this is a strength trinket, and for some reason it's at eye level 233. We're just gonna ignore that. This is Heart of the Swarm. This drops from Mal'Ganis, so the Lords of Dread, one of the last 3. It's one of like the last 2 bosses before the Jailer. Kind of get to pick which one you do. It's a strength weapon, not strength trinket. It's an on use where you invoke the Swarm, losing the ability to cast or attack, but you transform into a swarm of hungering locusts, getting 20% movement speed and 100% leech, and you deal 20,000 shadow damage split between all nearby enemies over 3 seconds. And it's increased for each enemy struck up to 5 enemies with a 3-minute cooldown. Cool trinket. 20% movement speed, 100% leech, and just dealing damage as a swarm of locusts is cool. I think, honestly, the damage is fine. I guess it's split, so maybe not. We'll have to see how much damage it does. I don't know how much the increase is, but this could be just kind of a fun trinket in to grab. The movement speed would be cool in the open world or in dungeons if you need it. I don't think you're ever going to pop a trinket for movement speed, but it's there. Leech just is a nice bonus, and the damage is decent enough that I could see this being run. Maybe if you don't have enough trinkets, or maybe you just like turning into a swarming thing of insects, which in itself is like thematically cool. So I think this one's nice. I think tuning's honestly there. I don't know, this is 40 eye levels lower than what you're going to get it as, so yeah, I think this one's pretty good. So this is a tank trinket, Intrusive Thought Cage. It's eye level 288 because it's from the last few bosses. So it's an on use to establish a link deep within your target's mind, draining 12,000 health per second and increasing your chance to dodge by 12% for 6 seconds. And then if the link is still intact when it ends, their mind shatters, dealing 24,000 shadow damage to enemies within 8 yards and horrifying them for 6 seconds. So this one, tuning's there. I imagine this is how it's going to go live. It's decent. I don't know how the link would break after the 6 seconds. I imagine maybe the target's dead, it won't do it. Otherwise, it doesn't really talk about a link breaking. There's another chain-like trinket later that does mention breaking a chain. So I don't know if this is like a proximity thing, or if it's like maybe a damage you take, or if the mob dies. I'm assuming mob dies will break it. 12% dodge for 6 seconds is nice, but you're also draining like 60, 70k HP over that 6 seconds. So this could be good in like M+. This could be good in raid if you need the health. And then the damage is a nice effect. 24,000 damage to everything within 8 yards, and horrifying them this means it won't get split, it won't drop off. Horrifying could be nice because it's like a little CC. So I think this is good. I think this has a very high chance of seeing play, especially in M+. And the thumbnail image or whatever, the little icon is cool. It's like literally a head cage with spikes. So this is Pog. I like this. All right, so this is Grim Eclipse. This is a caster trinket that drops from Rygalon, who's one of the other. He's either the 9th or 10th boss in the raid. depending on what order you do them on. So it's an on use, which manifests a quasar, which orbits your target, blasting it for 1,215 caustic damage over 15 seconds. And when that quasar expires, it collapses and creates an event horizon, so a little zone on the ground. For 15 seconds, that gives you 105 haste while you're within it, 2-minute cooldown. Obviously, numbers need to be tuned, but if the haste is high enough, this could be good. The issue is that you get the haste a lot of time outside your cooldown window. If you could maybe... This might be like Boomy on use in the first patch, where you do this and delay your burst for 15 seconds so that you get the haste. So since the haste lasts for 15 seconds. So I can see this being played. This is also the highest eye level caster trinket you can get. So it's good. I like this. Obviously numbers need to be tuned up, but it's cool also with space. So excuse me. I think this will be played. So we have now hit the Jailer trinket. So this is Chains of Domination. Shout out to patch 9.1. May you rest in peace forever. This is a DPS one for melee, so agi or strength users, and it has an on use with a 3-minute cooldown. You drive a spike into your target, dealing 1,000 physical damage and creating a chain link between you for 20 seconds. While the chain persists, 25% of all damage dealt to the target is stored within it, up to a maximum of 1,900. Those numbers are too low and will be boosted up. Moving away from your target will rip the chain out, dealing the stored amount of shadow damage to all enemies within 8 yards of them. So I don't know if this includes the target. All enemies within 8 yards of them kind of implies to me it doesn't, and it's kind of an AoE centered around that thing, which has its pros and cons. I guess the whole idea is that you're doing the damage to the thing, and it'll split 25% of that damage to everything else. So, you know, I think it's pretty good. 3 minutes is a long time, especially for a trinket. But if the cap and the damage are high enough, I could see this being played for a few classes with strong single target funnel. Sub-Rogue, Rep Paladin with the Execution Sentence build, maybe like a Venter, Demon Hunter, and Raid. Stuff like that. I like it. It's high eye level, which is good. It's an interesting effect. The chain, the idea of having a chain between the two of you that like absorbs damage and you snap the chain and deals damage to everything. Really cool. So I think this has a chance to play. Lore-wise, thematically, it's there. Number-wise, it's not there yet. But if the numbers are good enough, I think you'll see this on a few DPS. And I have saved the most confusing trinket for last. So this is usable by everybody. It's Scars of Fraternal Strife. And it has an equip and an on-use. And the equip is affix a domination rune to yourself, granting power at a price. The on-use is add another. So there's a few things about this. First, lore-wise, I'm pretty sure the Scars of Fraternal Strife refers to the jailer being kind of sent to the Maw and put the runes of domination on him by the Primus, who's his brother. So there's that lore-wise, lore bomb for you guys. For the runes, I have no idea what they do. We don't really know. No one's seen the jailer fight. No one's gotten any of the loot. I imagine that, you know, obviously you're going to get a buff whenever you have a rune on yourself. That'll also have a debuff. So maybe a damage amp, damage reduction, maybe, I don't know, movement speed up, movement speed down, stuff like that. I imagine it'll be you gain one stat at the price of another. But it could be something more exciting, similar to Corruption in BFA. So maybe, you know, you gain damage, but you have a chance to summon, I don't know, a void zone in the ground that hurts only you, or you have a chance of making your screen go weird. The fact that you can add another one every 30 seconds is kind of interesting. These are permanent buffs. I imagine, now there's no duration, so I imagine these will reset outside of combat. But if they don't, you could theoretically have like 20, 30 buffs at the end of a, way more than that. You could have a bunch of these at the end of an M+ dungeon, so that's why I imagine they'll reset. You can also just stack them before a raid encounter. But if the... See, it's hard because we don't know anything. But if the buffs are good and the debuffs aren't too bad or unique enough, I see this being played because of the fact that you get multiple of the buffs. It's also cool, kind of the power at the price thing. So I think, you know, cool trinket, makes sense from the jailer, and yeah. So those are all the new trinkets from the upcoming 9.2 Sepulcher, the first one's raid. Let me know what you're most excited for down below in the comments. Mine personally is the stat trinket from the Prototype Pantheon. I think that thing's going to be insane. And again, let me know if there's anything else you want me to cover, if you have any questions. And thanks for watching.